Sue, thank you for coming, and thanks for taking your time to answer the questions in the interview. So the first question, I know that your family have had a long history in the village. How far does it date back?
Well, the first generation that I know of that lived in the village was my great-grandparents. And then my grandparents, my grandfather, was born in a cottage just down the road. And he lived in the village and worked in the village and ran his own business, growing vegetables and fruit. And then my mother and all her brothers and sisters were born in the village. My mother moved away when she married, and I was born in Bournemouth, but they moved back again when I was just a little girl, about 2 years old. And I lived here ever since, because I lived here after I got married.
What was it like growing up in Sutton Poyntz in the village as a child?
I enjoyed it very much because we had a lot of freedom. Most people in the village at that time didn't have a lot of money, and a lot of the cottages were old and were not sort of modernised very much at all. But the children were allowed a lot of freedom to run up the fields. There's a small wood copse to play in, to go to the top of the hill and play in old barns. Because I was born in 1947, just after the finish of the Second World War, this was all throughout the 1950s, up until 1960-ish. It stayed very stable, very much the same, and the same children lived there all the time. So we all grew up together and we all played together, different ages, but we would all go up and disappear off into the fields and nobody'd see us for hours. We really always enjoyed very much the idea that you could get out into the countryside. There were no restrictions really on children at that time, unless we got in the farmer's way. But we did know not to go into certain fields. If there were crops growing there, you automatically didn't. But we were able to go into the woods and make small dens and have battles between different groups of children as to whose den was best, boys versus girls. The girls always won.